morning, Ludivine.
Good morning, Jean-David.
Friday, 16th of September.
Yes.
I'm really happy to be again with you at the Hospice Winery.
Thank you.
Let's start as usual with the first question, a first summary of this great vintage 2022.
Yeah. Well, it could be a bit long to sum up, but to be very short, we started in end of winter with a rather good level of water. So it was a rather early vintage from the beginning in March and April. We fear in April a bit of frost, but by the end everything was okay. And then the vineyard continued to grow very gently and softly and regularly with a good period of flowering. It was very regular. We knew from this time that the yield would be rather generous, and we worked in the vineyard to regulate this quantity of grapes.
So green harvest
and disbudding and checking that all the repetition of the grapes was okay on each plant. And we finally had a very hot and dry summer. So by the end, what happened is that we feared to have a small volume of juice and small quantity and small berries, but it's a kind of magic. And now, when we started to harvest, we finally have a very generous amount of grapes and with a lot of juice. And it is rather unexpected. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why, I cannot explain. Probably because we had these small rains exactly when we needed.
End of June,
mid of August.
A bit during harvest.
Yeah, a bit during harvest, but that was better for the berries than for the roots themselves. But it was a sort of very specified event right away at the right moment and in the right place.
We were lucky, yes.
Yeah, we were very lucky, especially comparing to some other region of production of wines.
So then harvest started when in the south?
We started in Pouilly-Fuissé on the 25th of August.
Okay.
And then we started with the Chardonnay here on the 29th, and then we go on the reds from the 30th of August, and we're finishing today.
Okay, so quite long harvest.
Long harvest.
And I know you're tired.
Yeah.
What about, so in a solar vintage, challenges could be acidity, high sugar levels, and keeping the freshness.
Yeah.
And as you can see at the winery, when you see the people working, a lot of care, a lot of attention to details. How do you manage all this to the end to make great wines?
The first point was to go and harvest at the right moment. So we focused on each parcel and we went and picked each of them at the right moment. So in the tanks, they are all full around us. I think we have very nice fruit and very balanced fruit. Of course, to work on the freshness and the level of acidity, on the analysis, it's not that bad. And it's, once again, not so expected to have such acidity in such heat waves and dry summer that we had. But we worked the tank and we worked on the press for the whites, and we now work on the tank for the reds to play on the freshness and to try to keep this freshness. It means that we play on the lees for the whites, and we play on the cold maceration for the reds. We try to work first and to extract the aromas and to work on the acidity of the juice first at the very first days of the maceration. And then we will focus on the ferment itself, which is now happening behind us. For the extraction. But the main point was to focus on the acidity. But we don't have that much malic acid. We, by luck, have a lot of tartaric acid, which is the main acid of the grapes, of the wine by itself. So we think we can don't really mind about the malic acid because the general balance still will be good. But it's now that it's happening, just now.
Excellent. So a generous year. In terms of potential, of style, of the question I ask is, does it compare to some other vintages or hints of vintages, partially or not?
That's a good question. To be honest, that could be a bit early for me to have an opinion, but so far, because of the very nice level of juice that we have, because of the very nice maturity of the grapes, And the behavior in the tanks, it sounds like 1999 to me. But it's still very early. It's still not to be thought as a very definitive idea. But so far, it's a nice vintage. It's a very unexpected in terms of volume and balance. So
that's great.
Everything is under control, I think, and it's probably also a good sign for our auction on the 20th of November.
Yes,
and
we won't miss it.
Yeah, I know you will be there. And but it's also important for me to make great wines, because especially in this vintage that was so fascinating.
Sure.
So it's a great thing.
Excellent. We'll meet again in a couple of weeks to make a
to
more
taste.
technical and tasting analysis of the wines. Thank you very much. Really happy. And
Bye-bye.
See you very soon.